Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm sorry I sound funny. I think I have a cold. Hopefully, it's not anything else. um, so let's start. I want to make sure if you had the chance to check your email and you found all of my messages. I have sent every week. I was sending the presentations. I have sent all the links for the recordings, and of course, I have sent the assignment. So I want to make sure that you have all the materials because I just managed to log into Moodle last week. I also had some issues with logging into the platforms. For some reason, my antivirus and my network security treated the website as insecure, and it kept blocking it. And I discovered that your Moodle platform is empty. So it will take some time to post everything on Moodle. However, I made sure that you get uh, through email everything. You have now you have access to the book, you have access to the presentations, and you have access to the recordings, and of course the assignment. So please, if you have any issue with these things, let me know. Okay, I don't mind sending everything again. I think this is the easiest and the fastest way. And also, I will send you some questions. Of course, in the early presentations, I included a link to Google Docs with the questions. No, I will send you the files directly. I think this is easier for you to build your I don't know, material reservoir or something. So this is very important. Okay, I think this week is the time to start reading your assignment, collecting information and material. I want to go through how I use Microsoft Word in writing my essays and my papers, because I believe this will make your life easier. I know not all of you are familiar or experts with Word. I'm not, but I think you can use it very good. So quickly, let me share my screen. I know that Dr. Rex is working with you on this, but I will give you the basics. I'm not going to dive deep like him, but I'll give you the basics. And also, one of our staff is working on developing a concise a concise guide for you, because in addition to being professor, I'm also the VP for research and innovation. So this is a Word document. I think can you see this view, the Word document?
Yes.
Okay, can you see these tabs? So in the tabs here, you will find references. So in the references, you can add table of content. You can insert footnote or endnote. This is something that we use. And this is very important. You can insert citations and references. So this is important. And also you can insert captions for photos. or pictures or figures, and you can also insert a table of figures if you have so much figures. This will be easier for you. So instead of doing it manually, um, index, I've never used index. Usually, index in when you are writing a book. So if you are writing a paper, you are not going to use these. So, for example, I will. Okay, let's say um, supply chain. Um, I don't know of BlackBerry, for example. Okay, so I'll have introduction. I will write few things, and then there is a um, uh, this piece is coming from a reference. So I will click insert citation, and okay, let me allow people to log in. And I will click insert citation, add new source. Oh yeah, here's something also. We have different referencing styles. I'm very familiar with Chicago and the APA. These are the two citation and referencing styles that I used. Recently, I'm using Harvard. So again, you don't need to memorize anything, or you know, uh, so the word makes it so easier for you. So you will select the APA, and this is the sixth edition. Now they have the seventh edition. From experience, it's not that different. A few things, and I think that we are not in the stage that we are doing something very sophisticated. So I think sixth edition will be just fine. So this is very important to choose the style. Okay, so you insert citation. This is a new source, so you add a new source, and here you have so many types of sources, whether it's a book or a book section or journal article or article in a periodical, conference proceeding, report, website, a document you downloaded from the website, electronic source, art, sound recording, performance, film, interview. So, for example, if you found an interview on YouTube, for example, you can use it. Patent case, miscellaneous. So the most common sources will be book section, journal article, and also website or document from the website. So these are the most common. So let's say you will reference our book. So you will add the name here. Okay. If it is one author, you will directly add the name here. If you have more than one author, you will add them here. So I will add the first one, um, first name and last name. If they have middle name, and add. If we will add another one, add. Okay. So now it will have. If you are copying from the internet, okay, I will talk about it later. So, of course, the book title, the year it was published, let's say 15, um, who the publisher, let's say McGraw-Hill. What are the important things? Okay, if you have this book as a website or something, you will list it here, and you will add the year accessed, month and day. But for this, we don't. And you add all the information that you have, the pages, for example, maybe it's the third edition, um, maybe it's a translated book, so these are all, and you will find that, okay, now it inserted um, my citation. I just fed the program, the software, the information. So at the end of the document, we will insert the bibliography. So again, usually I use references, and here it is. You will find that it's already listed here, formatted right according to the APA style. Okay, so let's continue. I'm writing, and um, here is another. Um, so I will add. If I'm using the same reference again, I can just choose it. Okay, so see, it's already added. If I'm using another um, paragraph or statement from another reference, so I will add a new source. So this time it will be a journal article. So again, the authors, the title of the paper, the journal, the year, let's say 23. Uh, Here you need to add more information. So the pages, so let's say from 25 to 28. And of course, if you have information about the editor, the publisher, a volume and issues, usually we have. So for example, 11, 2. Of course, you will get all this information. And you access this through a URL, or sometimes it has a document number. If you find that the URL starts with DOI, you will add the website here. If it's a URL, HTTPS. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm writing right. So .com/, blah blah blah. Okay, here you have to specify the date you accessed this website. Why? Because maybe later this website will be moved or removed. So the date you accessed this website will show that you accessed it before it was removed, but it is a legitimate reference. Okay, so I will add here year access 2023, month July, and the day 10th. Okay, now we have another citation. This is called in-text citation. Those between brackets, these are in-text citation, and this is very important. If you don't do this, it's a plagiarism. So, for example, I'm writing this paper about BlackBerry. Uh, of course, I will consult so many websites and so many references to list all the references that you used. Even if you are paraphrasing from a website, to uh, you still need to reference your these websites. Okay, even if you are paraphrasing. So I added another reference. So here I will update. So it automatically listed um, uh, my new reference. So we have introduction. We have heading 1, um, heading 1.1, heading 2, heading 2.1. So I want to add a table of contents. So I will, of course, you will have the uh, the cover page that has your name, institute, and everything. And let's see the page. I want to insert the table of contents. So I will insert contents. Okay. And right now, I didn't add anything to the contents. It detected that we have references, but how about the other part? So you click on this, add text to the table of contents, and this is level 1. Then we have heading 1, add text, this is level 1. Um, here some. Then we have heading 1.1, this is level 2. Okay, and we have something, and this is level 1, and this is level 2. Let's say we have some, it will continue, of course. So if you go to the table of contents and you click update the entire table, now I have my all the headings and all the contents organized and referenced and um, in the proper place. So if I will move, for example, heading 2 to a new page, and you go, so heading 2, it was in page 2. So if you update this, now it's automatically updating the pages. So the capabilities of the word is really, really good. If you really spend few hours, not even few hours, and you watched few tutorials, you will use it. It will make your life much more easier. Of course, when at university, when I was undergrad, we never used this way of writing. And of course, because I was in engineering, we hardly wrote anything. It was all problems and designs and drawings and things like that. Uh, but when I was studying for my master's, that was, nightmare for me. So I use it now, and it might look easy because I've been using it for many, many years. But when I was doing my first master's, it was not easy. So any question about how will you write your paper? Any question? I hope it's not too much to digest.
Professor,
Yes,
a question. Do we include the table of content?
excuse me?
Do we include the table of content?
Yes. Yeah, now you are professional, and you are doing masters. So I expect this.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I talked about it.
Yeah, because some professor didn't require us, so and they didn't
Okay.
correct us if we are doing it right or no. So
No, for me, I prefer to have a table of contents, and believe me, it will add elegance to your paper. And as I said, you can do it easily because it's an automated function or functionality in Word. So you will feel so this tab references, it has all you need. So it has the table of contents. If you are adding footnotes or endnotes, so for example, if I want to add here a statement, I will insert a footnote and see here, you have here one, and here is footnote one, and you can add all the explanation that you need. Usually in this level of papers, because this is not your dissertation, it's just a paper, you might not need any footnotes or endnotes. Here, citation is very important. So these two, the table of contents and citation and bibliography, bibliography is are the two important functionalities here. Okay, so just experiment to play with it, and it's not difficult. You just need to experiment a little bit. Okay. Any question? And oh yeah, I forgot to say this. Also, when you are searching in the library, you will find that we have here a template for student APA style paper. So it's already um, designed for you. Okay, so and this is of the templates, the regular templates on Word. You will find it. It's called the student paper. So you have all of these. So that was something that I wanted to share with you before we start. So now we can start.
Professor, there's a question
Yes.
in the box.
Yeah. What question? Oh yeah, okay, it's written. Okay, I will check it after I yeah. Oh, you use the word? No, I think there is. You need to search for it. So you use the Google Doc, right? I think there is. And I'm sure because my sons, they use it. Okay, let me
There is, because I already use also.
yeah, yeah. I don't use the Google Doc, but I think I'm trying to find where exactly. Insert table, drawing, horizontal. Footnote, they have footnote. Building blocks, and especially watermark, header and footer, page numbers, link, bookmark. Okay, they have table of contents under insert. Maybe tools, what they have. Um, oh, they have references. They have references. Okay, but it doesn't, they don't help you. Okay, I think you need to play with it a little bit because I believe they have all the functionalities. I think they have all the functionalities, but you need to understand where it is. Okay, and if I get more information about Google Doc, uh, I will email you. But in a nutshell, it's we we are we are um, we have now what we need, at least. Okay, any other question before we switch? Oh, we have a question here. Yes, Google, yeah. So play with it, find some maybe tutorials on YouTube or something, how to use Google Doc to write academic paper. And I think you will find the answers. Okay. Any other question before we switch? Okay, perfect. Today we will talk about transportation. And I'm not sure, of course, it depends on the company you are working at, how eminent this function in your company or not. Of course, some companies this is a very, very important function that might account for over 60% of the total expenditure. Still people are joining. Some companies, for example, like IT or service-based companies, this might not be a very eminent function. So let's focus on those businesses that this function is huge. For example, retail chains. We have multinational retail chains like Walmart, for example. So the cost of moving products from manufacturers to distribution centers and from these centers to various retail outlets across different regions, this forms a massive portion of the company's logistics costs. So, and it's enormous task. And in such organizations or such businesses, um, the transportation managers play a significant role because they contribute to the bottom line, and they are trying to have a seamless flow of inventory throughout the supply chain end to end. So if the transportation is not managed with utmost efficacy, efficiency, effectiveness, okay, people are still looking in. This could, pose significant risks for the viability and sustainability of the company. Um, um, and right now we have huge e-commerce business, so just imagine that we have frequent delays or incorrect deliveries. This will affect the customer satisfaction, negative reviews, um, dip in sales, disturbing the entire supply chain. So it's very, very important you understand how significant is transportation in your company. So there are different aspects of the functionality of transportation. We have two critical aspects here: movement of products and storage of products. And we talked about these things before in previous chapters. So product movement is the physical transfer of inventory to predetermined locations. And we can use different modes of transportation: trucks, ships, planes, trains. So you need to understand, okay, what are the mode of transportation my company use? Um, and we might use different modes of transportation at the same time, or within the same supply chain. And this movement happens between different logistical points. For example, production facilities, warehouses, retailers, customers, point of sale, things like that. So uh, also we have product storage. Um, this could be in the shipping container. So this is a storage. Yes, it's temporary, but again, it's a storage. We need to think about it, and we need to design it. So I make sure that my product in this stage is well stored. And we call it mobile storage because it's moving. Okay. Again, if the products are waiting to be unloaded uh, at a port, or waiting the next leg of the journey, we call this a leg of the journey, at a distribution hub. Again, it's a storage. Um, so we have here some restrictive elements. Um, so, for example, we have in-transit inventory. Remember when we talked last time about types of inventory? So we have in-transit inventory. In some literature, they call it captive inventory. So, regardless of the terminologies used, understand the concept. So maybe your organization use a different way to describe these stages. Uh, so again, in this type of inventory, the inventory is not accessible. It's in the transportation process. It's, for example, in a cargo ship in the middle of the ocean. So you cannot sell these products until they reach the destination. So that's why we have certain risks and constraints and uncertainties. Uh, in some cases, transportation might offer a degree of flexibility. It depends on the industry, the circumstances. Um, in some routes, I can redirect the inventory to go to a different point during the transit. I can give orders, move this to a different location, or something like this. And we call it shipment diversion. I diverted the route to something else. And sometimes it happens when there are sudden shifts or risks or something that happens in the supply chain. And we have different stakeholders in the transportation. We call them transportation participants. And those are the key players in the transportation process. And each one of them, they have their own objectives, they have their own roles. Uh, so we need to have all these players in harmony, because remember, our goal here is to have seamless transportation. So we have shippers and consignee. So shippers, these are um, the organizations or the entities sending the goods. The consignees, these are the organizations receiving the goods. And we share mutual interest in transporting the goods, because we want to transport the goods safely from the point of origin to the destination. It's very important to have this within specific time frame and the lowest possible total costs. Also, we have carriers. So carriers, they are the shipping companies. Okay, they don't own the product, they don't do anything with the product, but they ship it. So we have shipping companies, we have airlines, we have rail companies, we have trucking companies. So these transportation participants, or in other literature, we will say stakeholders, they want to maximize their revenue from transporting the products and minimizing the cost. They have also their costs, so they want to minimize the associated costs. So they will think about route optimization, for example, to reduce fuel expenses and increase number of deliveries. You know, also we have agents like brokers, like freight forwarders. Um, these agents are intermediaries. They facilitate matching carriers and customers. Um, you will hire them to negotiate rates, to plan routes, to handle documentations. We have so many documentations, so many laws and regulations involved in this. So these are specialized, they are like consultants. um, they can, for example, advise you to consolidate several small shipments into one large shipment, for example, to get lower transportation rates. Also, we have the government. Now, the governments, now we don't have one government, we have governments, because the route might go through different countries. So every country has their rules, their regulations. Some have some environment regulations, for example, and actually, this is a huge revenue for the countries. Some countries, especially those with strategic locations, they use their location as revenue generation. So governments, they enact regulations. So they make sure we have fair practices, health and safety, environmental sustainability. So these are all regulated by governments. Also, we have information technology companies. So these companies, they provide the applications or the software that we use it. Not only software and hardware. Internet of Things now is very huge. So, and why that? Because we want real time status information about the goods. And also we have the public, so because as as people, we have vested interest in transportation accessibility, for example, cost effectiveness, um, standards of security. I don't want to be driving my car on the street or a highway, and the trucks are bothering or harming drivers and pedestrians. So these are all the partners, and again, it depends on the company, it depends on the industry. Um, so it will be a very good opportunity for you to study your company. And here is a depiction of the different participants and their role. And we talked about the government and how they are a stakeholder or a participant in this cycle. So the governments usually showed uh, um, a big interest or a huge interest in controlling and promoting transportation development. Why? Because it has a significant implication for the country economy, you know, and the day-to-day lives of the citizens of this country. So that's why governments want to be very, very involved. And throughout the eras, transportation industry was tightly regulated, and government authorities dictated almost everything from routes that could be used, the rates that could be charged, different types of cargoes, you know, points of entry and exit. Um, um, so it's and we have different acts. So, for example, we have the Carrier Act of 1980, or the Staggered Rail Act. So, this act, the Motor Carrier Act of 1980, actually uh, target the trucking industry. It reduced the barriers to entry and exit in this industry. So we don't have monopoly or semi-monopoly. So we have more competition. Why? Because we are moving more in towards free market. So they put a cap on the rates. Um, eh, so this, you know, started to open the door for more competition. And what happens when more competition? So more efficiency, reducing prices. So at the end, it will benefit the customer. And also the Stagger Railway Act, this focused on the railway industry. So it allowed rail companies to negotiate contracts and set their own rates. It was the opposite, they were not allowed to negotiate rates. It gave them the opportunity to negotiate their own rates, promoting again competitiveness. So it's all to create a competitive market environment. These slides talk about this. So, in the transportation model structure, we have five basic modes. Of course, in some places you will find other modes. For example, motorcycle. Okay, where you fit motorcycle here? You know, so it's related to road. So maybe highway and roads. Okay, so we have rail, we have highway, we have water, we have pipeline, and we have air. For each mode, it consists rights of way or the path on which the vehicles travel. Vehicles are not cars. Vehicles, it's a general term of um, um, how can I say it? . 'Cause, 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 ' a vehicle. So ship, for example, could be under the category of vehicle. So uh, or these are the means of transportation, you know. So the the right of way, so this is the path the vehicles will travel, and the vehicle themselves and the carriers. So these are the companies that manage and provide transportation services. Um, in some countries, you might not find specific transportation modes. These are usually um, underdeveloped countries, but in most countries, you will find all these modes. And that's why governments are very, very keen to have good infrastructure. And we might talk about infrastructure later, but this is very important to have strong railroads. So, for example, the second railroad after the British um, railroad in England was in Egypt. Uh, so the British Empire created the railroad in Egypt so they can link north of Africa to the rest of Africa. So it was very important. Highways, highways are very, very important. Waterways also. The majority of transportation is done through waterways. And also we have pipelines for specific materials like oil and gas. So again, these are very important. That's why when some damage happen in a pipeline, for example, um, in Canada, we have some pipeline got damaged. It affected Europe. It made huge disruption. And of course, air. But air, this is the fastest mode of transport, but it's very costly. So usually we use it for high value, time sensitive goods and not so heavy. And you will find that air cargoes, like FedEx Express, for example, they are air cargoes uh, carriers. We have now a huge player, Emirates Sky Cargo. So again, try to understand the company you are assigned or your company that you are um, uh, working in and see what exactly transportation mode. um, I'm trying to move a little bit. You will find that there are, I will send you the slides. So some slides are just iteration of what I said, explaining exactly what are these. Okay, so, okay, let's do this one. So each mode of the transportation I talked about offer a unique set of characteristics and capabilities, advantages and disadvantages. So, so there are certain parameters like speed, you know, how fast I want these goods to be moved from the origin to the destination. As I said, air transport is the fastest mode, then road, then railways, then water and pipeline. So if the business works in perishable goods or time sensitive material, it's of course it's no way we can use shipping waterways, for example. So I will use air transport and rail and road. Also, availability is another parameter. So it's the ability of this mode to service any given uh, pair of location. Yeah, this is the origin and destination. We call it pair of locations. Uh, so road transportation usually, or transport usually offer the highest availability. Why? Because it's embedded in the infrastructure. Rail, it needs more investment. So some companies, they have rail in certain areas in the country. So whenever there are some restrictions, we have limited availability. Also dependability, how reliable this mode. So I can expect the delivery according to schedule. Again, it depends on where this mode is. Um, are there any risks, unforeseen circumstances? Um, Usually, air and rail are more reliable because they have set schedules and they have the infrastructure to support scheduling. Okay. Road transportation might be affected with external factors like traffic or maybe road conditions. Maybe we have renovations or work in the road. Also capabilities, the capability of this mode. So, for example, the load size, the configurations of the load. So again, road and rail offer a good mix of flexibility and capacity. So it gives more capability. It usually it can handle different load sizes compared to air transport, for example. No, we are limited by weight and size constraints. That's why the load of our luggage is shrinking. You know, they are not allowing us to take large weights. Why? Because they use these uh, uh, um, airplanes in transporting some goods. Water transport, this is the OG, you know, it can handle very large loads. Yeah. Also, frequency, again, another important parameter um, that will affect the reliability and dependability of the that mode. Okay. These are just the iteration on what we studied. So now I will divide you into groups and I want you to think of your business card, okay? And tell us the transportation story of your business card. So imagine that you are in the office ordering new business cards. What are the components of the business card? What are the services that will be directly involved in producing your business card? And what are the transportation cycle of whatever the components of your business card? Any question of what we talked about? And any question? We have here in the chat. Okay. Okay. Uh, okay, Lizette. I okay. Don't join um, the group, but even you can type. You can join them and type. So I will divide you into 3 rooms. I will give you 10 minutes And I have shuffled. Okay, and we will start now. Welcome back. Welcome, welcome. How was your discussion?
It was great.
Okay.
We minimized the transportation at the end.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, so start by sharing. So do you have a screen to share with us or you just discussed it?
Izzat will share it with us.
Okay.
Seeing the slide now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We divide the transportation of business card into a three level or three stages.
Mm-hmm.
First stage during pre-design, it is in the design company itself, which produce and design the card, the office. This company need the paper material and the ink. So
Mm,
they have to make the inventory from paper material and ink. This two kind of material or raw material has no problem with its expire date. It can't be spoiled by spending the time of transportation. So here we will choose the easiest and the most economic way to transport these items for as a raw material, which is by road transportation, to be
mm-hmm.
a vehicle or through courier or large lorry, whatever the transportation item. It's according to size of the lot and according to the amount which be required for paper. And I think this also this will be large stock. They not transport for every business card, just transport the amount they required. So I think
Mm,
they required a lot of paper, a lot of ink, and it's cut it for the dimension of the business card, which I think it's universal measures. So no
mm,
problem to transport a lot of a large lot or large quantity for the cards. This is for the first stage, the pre-design stage. The second stage in the designing process, after the designing process and still inside the office or the company of designing, there are the storage of this card and also packaging and storing it until to the transmission to the customer.
mm,
Last stage after the design, it has be to transport it to the customer. We also choose here the road transportation, the same for raw material. It's no afraid or no problem of to be damaged or spoiled. So the speed here not of a big issue, but the most important thing is the low value of the transportation, because the value of business card itself, it's not profitable. Yeah, and there is no a lot of profit to be wasted in expensive way of transportation. So here the selected we agreed that we select the most economic way of transportation, even it take time, like also road transportation.
Okay,
And
so any of
we
the
have
other groups, I just want to listen to the other groups so we can do some comparison of your approach.
just another thing we said at the end of our discussion, that we can digitalize the business card to avoid any transportation and to minimize the cost.
What do you mean by digitizing the business
And
card?
now you can have a barcode with your business card, and you can share with anyone or send it via WhatsApp. So
Okay.
you will have it will be stored on the mobile.
Okay, but the task here is that you have to have physical cards. Even if you
Okay.
will have a barcode on your card, you still need to have physical card.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. But this, yeah, it happens. We digitize almost everything now. Our LinkedIn events. Uh, okay, let's hear from another group. Who wants to share their discussion with us? Yes, Olina.
Yes, hello everyone. I will just put in our chat box the steps that we discussed previously with the team. So we can see the 8 following steps for card logistic steps for purchasing and for it. So the first one is to determine, first of all, the aim for which department and how many the quantity of business cards we require and for whom. Based on that information, we can go to the next step to design and have specifications. For instance, which logo we have, either we have specific information we require, so we have like pre-design. Then we select a supplier based on that information that we have beforehand. Then we according to our supply, we order the prototype, like sample. Then after that, if we are taking orders, there is a step of production and printing. The next one is about quality control, whether it's like have some, for instance, some or damages or things to get improved. And then it's about delivering distribution point when we have like purchasing. It's about when we agree with a supplier on a shipping or delivery base and agree upon terms. And the last one is inventory management. It's about the track and remaining on stock. So there are 8 following steps.
Okay, so where is transportation here?
Delivery and distribution.
So at the end of this process, so you did not study, because now I'm talking about supply chain, and I said before, supply chain is end to end, so you go back and you still go back and you go back again until you reach the starting point. It's like a circle. You need to determine where is the starting point. Okay, so you captured the steps of ordering business cards, but you didn't go the step further of the card itself, the components of the card itself. So thank you so much. The last group, would you please share with us your discussion?
Actually, Dr. Hanan, we did not discuss because we entered late and we couldn't discuss it. So we
Okay.
said that we will just listen to what the other two groups have
Okay.
done.
Okay. So, Muhammad Aizat, would you please share your screen again? Yes, Ahmed Awad.
When you are saying end to end, yeah, like going to the manufacturing of the paper itself.
Yeah, actually, that was my aim.
So it's like it's not when the printing press requesting the paper. It's like
Yeah,
even back to cutting trees and preparing the and manufacturing the paper itself, right?
yeah. Even more.
Okay.
The paper, it's not one type of paper. The business card is usually layers. You will have different layers, of paper compacted together. So let's say there are three parts of components for the business card. So the outer surface, the upper surface, the lower surface, and the middle. Each of these components might be coming from a different manufacturer, and then they go to a manufacturer that use this plastic film with the paper and the second plastic film to create big sheets or rolls of this paper. Then it will be moved to another manufacturing facility, maybe to cut into size or smaller batches. So a big roll into smaller batches. So we have transportation here. So the first supplier who is doing this film, plastic film, they might get the material from another supplier. You know, so this is the way you dissect a supply chain. So you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, so you can understand, okay, where is the start of this, or you can go backward. So now I have my card in my hand. Where was it before? It was in a parcel delivered by FedEx to the company, right? Came from the, for example, company called Vistaprint. This is very, very common now, especially in North America. I don't know in other countries. Vistaprint, you can design, they can help you with design. You do everything online. You place the order, you select the specifications for the business card. And where are they? Sometimes they are in the States, and now actually they do this in China. So your business card might be printed in China. One important thing that you said, group one, no problem of expire or spoil of the product. How come? Any product is it could be spoiled. Yes, it's not perishable material, like for example fruits or vegetables, but there is a risk. That's why you will have insurance, even if you are transporting paper. How about fire hazard, you know, or in the cargo, because now the size might be smaller, the shipment. So it will be shipped with other products. Maybe in the same cargo, we have some liquids that split on the paper. Okay, so this business card supply chain and logistics, we might have water way used for the big rolls of the paper and the components of to manufacture this paper. We might have a road way or rail way, and maybe at the end, the last step, we might have air, or maybe not. Again, road. Yes, Muhammad?
We meant here when we said that there is no expire or spoil regarding to time, not to the physical events, يعني like liquids which may spoil the cars or something. It could be happened by any way of transportation, not only the road. and fires and all what you said, Dr. Hanan, is yes, right. It could be happened by any route of transportation, not.
Yes.
But here we meant that no expires void regarding to the time of transportation itself.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So this is the way you think of the supply chain and the different modes. So now you have your company assigned to you. So think of this when you analyze the company. Think of this of all of these components, because it will affect the bottom line. In some companies, transportation and logistics take up to 60% of the costs. So please stop presenting. We have okay, I'm not going to give you a break. Let's finish it, and then everyone will have a rest, because we have lots of things to cover as usual. So when we are talking about the different modes of transportation, we are talking about infrastructure. So that's why at wars, usually the first thing the enemy does is to hit the vital points and roads, because it's like cutting the limbs of a body. So for example, in the States, after the World War II, the States had a plan. It was an ambitious plan to develop infrastructure. So they constructed more than 46,000 miles of highways. The United States is very vast. It's a half a continent. So this is significant, and all these roads and highways, they are subject to wear and tear. So they need substantial repairs and maintenance. And so this might require lots and lots of investment of the countries. And in 2007, the status of so many major highways were so bad, so it really required lots and lots of investment. And with the roads, we have bridges. So, for example, in 2017, the US, they estimated that around 9% of the bridges nationwide are not safe to use. For example, in Afghanistan, they have huge problem with infrastructure. So even those humanitarian agencies, they don't have a way to reach places, because the country, due to the circumstances that happened, it had crumbling infrastructure and huge safety issues, and it's not functioning, whether a commercial, domestic, pedestrian vehicles, anything. So it's very important. So the governments are facing these challenges, and that's why they create the legislations. They dedicate a big portion of the revenue or the GDP to maintain the infrastructure. And of course, we have political aspects, financial aspects, bureaucracy, corruption. So this is very important to think about. So we have, when we were talking about the partners, yeah, countries without coastlines. Yeah, yeah, it's another issue, you know. Yeah, and this reminds me, when we say waterway, rivers also, especially big rivers, it could be transportation pathways. Yeah. So the transportation landscape evolved, and part of this evolution is the emerging of specialized services. So it's a combination of, some of these services is a combination of different transportation modes. So the company will not be specialized in a very, very specific one. They might have access to different transportation modes. So they are trying to optimize the efficiency, the speed, the reliability. So we have, of course, big names that we can, they are recognizable all over the world. For example, FedEx. Here in North America, we have UPS, DHL. So these are very common names. So they have parcel service. So this is parcel service is related to the small packages, documents, and this field is dominated by large influential companies like UPS, like DHL, like FedEx. And why? Because it requires significant the use of infrastructure and network, so they can offer reliable, timely parcel delivery. Usually, the time frame is very short. FedEx, for example, they have a fleet of 650 aircrafts and uh, 10 of thousands of ground vehicles. So they can deliver, and they actually deliver millions of packages every day in 22 territories. So we don't have 20 more than 200 countries. No, this is not right. We have, I believe, 195 countries, but we have territories. So we have 20 territories, and they have access to these territories. And of course, in the last 6 to 10 years, we have huge e-commerce. You know, I stopped buying almost anything physically. I buy everything online now. So this boosted the demand for parcel services. And consumers now, I told you before, we are greedy. We expect quicker, reliable, trackable deliveries. That's why BlackBerry, for example, when they collapsed, they moved it to IoT, Internet of Things, and they invested heavily in trackable devices. So the the amount of innovation in parcel carriers fields or industry is huge. So we have real-time tracking. You know, we expect this. Guaranteed express delivery. You know, so it will come the next day. It's guaranteed. Flexible delivery options. I can deliver it to your house, to a post office, or to a certain pickup point, for example. And within this specialized service, we still have specialized service. So, for example, there are certain companies specialized in urgent or time-sensitive deliveries. So we have overnight. or same-day delivery. For example, companies specializing in fragile or valuable items. For example, I was in Italy, in Venice, and we visited a factory that manufactured Murano glass. These are the original family, and actually that was their name, Murano. And this island in Venice, it was called Murano. And they offered, you buy things and they will deliver it to our houses, and it was guaranteed, and it was through a specific shipping and courier services that, you know, they can handle such a fragile items. That's why it was very, very expensive to ship these items here. And when we came back, we found that it's sold in other places, and usually the cost will be almost the same. So we have specialization within the specialization. And that's why we became as customers, we became so greedy. Okay, these are so you can see that there are huge elements and factors affecting the dynamics of transportation and the pricing, the costs. So the transportation economics and pricing could be influenced by many factors. So we have, for example, economics of distance, economics of weight, economics of density. So the economics of distance, sometimes we call it tapering, the tapering principle. So this principle states that the cost per unit weight decreases as the distance of the shipment increases. So the more cost efficient is to ship large quantities of goods over longer distance. And how they calculate this? What are the elements, the cost elements here? We have the cost elements of loading and unloading. So, and we have lots of fixed cost elements. So when the large portion of the cost are fixed, it's better to ship large amount over long distance. For example, it might cost $1,000 to ship a container for 100 miles. Or $400 to ship it 1,000 miles. Usually the companies will give you this cost scales or ranges. So if you calculate the cost per mile, the cost decreases as the distance increases. And you can see this in trucking, you know. Also, economics of weight. So the cost per unit weight decreases as the total weight of the shipment increases. Because the carrying a large load, it doesn't require more fuel. You still have a cap. So the capacity of this vehicle or shipment, you know, will be totally used. So for example, it might cost $500 to ship 1 ton of load. But the company will tell you it's $2,000 to ship 10 ton of load. Usually in the shipping, they will not move a cargo unless it's fully loaded. So that's why they consolidate smaller shipments together, because it's more economically to ship a large load because of the fixed costs. The fixed costs are the same. The variable costs are a smaller portion of the total cost. I will use something example it's from Egypt, and I've seen it in other countries, so I'm not sure if you have this, but in public transportation, the capacity of a bus, for example, is 20 seats, let's say, or a minibus, 20 seats. And the company will not move this bus until the 20 seats are filled, or at least 80% of the capacity of that bus filled. Why? Again, because of the fixed cost. Whether I have 20 passengers or 5 passengers, I still have to pay for the vehicle, for the fuel, for the salaries, for the overhead. So it's better to have the maximum capacity. So it's the same also in transportation. And we have economy of density. So it's the cost per unit weight. It decreases as the density of the shipment increases. So the more densely packed goods take less space. So this increases the efficiency of the transportation. The analogy that comes to my mind, if you are shipping a truckload of feathers, it might be, if we are focusing on the weight, it will be more expensive per unit weight than shipping a truckload of steel. Why? Because the steel is denser. So it will take less space. So those companies that deal with irregular shaped products, let's say, for example, furniture, they might calculate the costs per cubic meter volume in the container, not weight. If they are dealing with more dense products, they will calculate it per weight. They will give you the quotation, for example, per ton. But if you are shipping irregular products, they will tell you, okay, this will take 2 cubic meters, and we have a cargo of 400 cubic meters, for example. So again, these are all factors that can affect this. Let's see what else. Okay, this we talked about this. Of course, one of the factors is if you need special equipment handling for the loads, for the loading and unloading. This also will affect of the economics of the transportation. Liability, this is very, very important. You know, that's why we have insurance. Okay, there are, okay. I was talking about the fixed cost and the variable cost. I hope that you have understanding of the difference between variable and fixed costs. Sometimes we call it direct and indirect. So fixed costs are costs that I have to pay whether I produced one item or 10,000 items. Think of the facility, for example. Think of the salaries of a certain personnel. Variable costs, these are proportionally goes hand in hand with the number of units I'm producing. The same concept here in transportation, you know. So the variable costs are of the item. Fixed costs are not related to the movement. Whether I move it or not, I'm paying this. Okay. So usually companies use base rate. Whether you are shipping the full truckload or less than the full truckload, half the truckload, for example, this will affect the pricing structure. Again, if we have a flat rate because the entire truck is dedicated to a single shipment. However, if I can mix and match different shipment from different customers, I can give rates related to the portion of that shipment that this product will take, because we are sharing the cost among multiple shippers or customers. Also, the freight classification. So the product itself are classified. They have different categories. They have different classes. So each class has its own freight rate. So, for example, density, handling requirements, liability. So if I'm moving hazardous material, it's different. It's a different class than, for example, moving textile. Okay, so again, this will impact the base rate. Distance. So the distance between the origin point and the destination point, you know, that this pair again is significant to determine the base rate. And in real life, there are each company creates rate tables, so it will be easier to calculate this. For example, if if you see a taxi or limousine service, they have these rate tables sometimes published online on their website. So it depends on the distance, and not only this, the geographical conditions. So longer distance generally, you know, it entails higher costs because of the fuel consumption, you know, the driver hours, wear and tear. However, if I am using the full truckload, it will be more economical. So there is a way that companies calculate this. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, have you heard about FOB? In your companies? Have you heard about this?
Free on board.
Yes, freight on board. Okay, there are so many types. And so this is a way of pricing. And FOB distinguish between the origin and the destination. So the FOB origin prices, the seller states the price at the point of origin, and they agree to load the goods onto the carrier. The seller might not assume no further responsibility beyond this point. My responsibility is at the origin. I will cover the costs related to loading the goods, and that's it. Then the buyer is responsible for example, commissioning the carrier, choosing the mode of transportation, paying for the transportation costs, also the risks. We have loss, we have damage. So they will cover the costs of insurance or compensation for any risks associated with this. Also, the ownership of the goods, it's already passed to the buyer. So the seller, once this load leaves the origin, I'm not responsible about it. I'm not responsible for it. It's your responsibility. But FOB in destination, the seller takes on additional responsibilities. So the seller will arrange to the transportation of the goods. And usually they will add the charges to the sales invoice. The ownership of the goods do not pass to the buyer until the buyer receives the product. So the seller here bears the risk of loss, damage, anything until the goods reach the buyers. So a very, very common example is Amazon. So what do you think? Amazon is FOB origin or FOB destination?
FOB destination.
Yes. Why? Because Amazon take responsibility of all the components of this journey. Sometimes they will offer free transportation or shipping if you are premium subscriber, for example, or your order exceeds certain amount of dollars. But if something damaged in the shipment, it's the responsibility of Amazon. That's why and this happens, if I receive something damaged, I will open a claim as a customer. I will open a claim. I will take a photo of the item, send it to Amazon, and Amazon will send me a label, a shipping label, prepaid. So I can send them the damaged part and they will compensate me. So FOB on destination covers everything. So the FOB terms determine the point at which the responsibility, the risk, the ownership of the good transfer between the seller and buyer. Sometimes it's better to use FOB origin. Sometimes it's better to use FOB destination. Again, it depends on the industry. So I As I said, I will send you these slides, more explanation in the slides, and of course we had this. So maybe you can think about this when you are working on your assignments, your companies. How much will the transportation cost us for specific item when we source it internationally? So this box, for example, with HelloFresh, see, this is the box and its components. See how many components in this product. This is the final product, the box. So if we are going to source these components internationally, so if I am in Canada, for example, the fruits and vegetables might come from the States. We don't have good agriculture here in Canada because of the climate. The dry goods might come, for example, lentil. It might come from India, lentil. Salmon, it might come from a different country, you know. The boxes, the the spices, it will come from a different country. And you see that the product itself and where it is coming from will affect the elements of cost, the cost components related to this final product. So quickly, I will talk about the IT, you know. So you can see that this field was digitized long time ago. Yes, it didn't start, for example, to have a whole a dedicated system, but it was digitized. So the transportation management system that we will get in the company, it has different functionalities, and these functionalities depends on, again, the industry, the needs of the company. So we need the system to facilitate the consolidation of multiple orders. Why? Because I want to create, at the end of the day, shipments. So if I have different orders from a different location or area or part of the country, it might be more efficient to consolidate these orders into shipments together. So I can reduce the transportation costs, maximize the capacity utilization. Also route optimization, you know. So we have different delivery locations, order volumes, traffic conditions, capacity of the carrier. So again, I can calculate the optimal route for the shipments. Also carrier rate management. So we need to calculate from our side the cost, so I can negotiate carrier rates. Also electronic data interchange. This is very important. How can I integrate my system with the system of the carrier, for example, and other partners, so we can have seamless communication, data exchange, faster transaction processing. And right now, it's a must to have internet-based shipment tracking, because now we need real-time shipment tracking capabilities, you know. So because we need to have this visibility of the movement and the status of the shipment. Claim management also is very important. Remember when I talked about Amazon, for example? So if there is something related to a damaged product or lost shipments, you will find on YouTube, for example, there are people who go and buy lost shipments. So the insurance covered this, the customers are compensated, and the transportation company ended up with lots and lots of lost shipments. So they sell it. They sell it. It became a business. Right now we have several businesses actually created by Syrian refugees, where they buy these cargoes, the lost cargoes or the lost shipments, and they rent a warehouse, and you go and you don't know what you will find there. So it's a very cool business model. So we need a system that can enable us to do all of this. So these are some of the documents that we are using, and here is how it looks like. So there is still some data entry and some documentation by people, but usually now companies are trying to minimize the need for human inputs. So the bill of lading or lading, it depends on your accent. It's used when we purchase transportation services or transport services. So it works as receipt, issued by the carrier to the agent. In this receipt, they acknowledge the receipt of or receiving the goods for shipment. It documents the product, the quantity, and any relevant information about these goods. And it is a proof that the carrier has received the good, and now they have the position of the goods. So they assume the responsibility of the transportation. So it's very important. And also it can include some contractual terms and conditions that govern the transportation of these products. The rights, the obligations, liabilities. We have a shipper, we have carrier, and we have a consignee. So the rights, obligations, liabilities of these parties. So it might include, for example, liability limits, the procedures for claims, delivery instructions. If there are special requirements for handling these products, if there are certain regulations or laws that we have to adhere to. So this is one document that's very important. What other documents? Sorry. And also we have the freight bill. So again, this is a document used by the carrier to charge for the service. So it's like an invoice, okay, or a billing statement. So what are the charges associated with this transportation? And we have the shipment manifest, or sometimes we call it manifesto. So again, it's a document that lists individual stops. If we have multiple shipments, for example, and in a single vehicle, so it will give like a route of the stops or the consignees, because we have multiple shipments. So again, if this is something internal that the the carrier use. Okay, I think we covered. Yeah, I think we covered everything here. So, any question before we wrap up? Any question? Okay, so today I talked about the assignment and the paper that you will write. That's why I encourage you to start working on your assignment now. And every week, work a little bit on the assignment. This will be very good. And you will send it by email. And I will take the timestamp of the email. It's the last day of the course. I don't remember the day, but it's in August. It's late in August. Yes, Mohammed?
I was checking through the emails the recording of each session, but I couldn't find except two only sent via email. So
Yeah, this is very strange because I send it every week. Actually, Sarah from Student Success Support emailed me today with this, and I emailed her links to all the recordings. So
great. So
yeah,
yes.
so I think she will send you these recordings, and sometimes they post it on YouTube as well. So I will follow up with her. Anything else missing?
Well, actually, I want to say something because
Mhm.
I want only to have like a place where I can find something, because to search on YouTube or search via the official, it's not your topic as well. But if Sarah is with us, so it is just better to read these topics that I need to have one single source for the
Okay.
documents anywhere.
Okay,
Okay,
you missed the
it's
first
Sarah.
part. Okay, you missed the first part of the lecture. I was
Uh-huh.
talking about this. I had access to Moodle just last week. So,
Okay, okay.
so
Okay, okay,
I
great.
didn't know what was
Okay,
posted and what was not. And you
okay,
know
great.
that I took over the previous
Yes,
professor. Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
So, as I said, it might take some time to create this model shell. So that's why I was using emails, because it was the fastest, most direct way I can reach you.
Yes.
Yeah, because I had some issues with the security. My
Okay.
network here, the network treats the some websites as a threat and they block it. So I didn't have
Ah,
access to Moodle. I didn't know what was in Moodle from
okay. Okay.
from the beginning. So I will try to send all the files, and by the end of this month, I will try to post all the documents, all the slides, all the as usual. It's not the first time for me to use it, but I didn't have access and
Okay.
time to do this.
Okay. But as you said that you sent to Sarah all the links for all the
Yeah,
recordings
it's all.
for
Yeah,
everything, so it's with
yeah,
Sarah right now. Okay.
yes. Today,
Thank you very
I
much.
did this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So all the slides. Do you have access to the slides?
Yes, all
Except
the slides.
today.
Yes.
Okay, except today's.
Yes, until class 6. Yes.
Six,
Yes, until
seven.
class
I also sent 7.
7.
Okay. Okay, I will send 7 and 8.
Okay. Yes. Until class
Okay.
6, we have it. Yes.
Okay, I will email you the 7 and
Okay.
8, and
And the
and
recording, I can take it from Sarah.
yes, I sent her
Okay.
all the recordings.
Okay. Thank you very, very much.
You are welcome. Any other question before we leave? Any other question? Okay, so thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next week. Hopefully, I will be in a better shape. So, goodbye, everyone. Bye bye.
Wish you very speedy recovery.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much, Professor. Bye.
Okay,
Bye.
Thank
thank you
you
Bye.
very
so
much.
much.
Bye
Thank you. Bye.
bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.